We have an NHL trade. We have a deal between the Senators and the Coyotes. We'll discuss the details coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. Now, as I mentioned, we have a trade. It's finally official. We have a deal between the Senators and the Coyotes. Now, if you recall, not long before Christmas, we were talking about a rumor that the Coyotes and the Senators were having trade talks centered around Coyotes center iceman Derek Stepan. That deal is now completed. The Senators have acquired the veteran center iceman from the Arizona Coyotes in exchange for a 2021 second-round selection. Now, from the Arizona Coyotes standpoint, this deal makes a lot of sense. Obviously, throughout this offseason, they've been cutting some costs, moving out some veteran guys. We obviously had a lot of rumors, even around their captain, Ekman Larsson, and several other players. It makes sense here with 1 year left, and Stepan's role at the team's changed a lot in the last few years. He has been declining a bit as well, so I understand the need for them to shed some salary here. It's not a huge savings when it comes to actual money, but it is a decent savings when it comes to their cap space, where Derek Stepan carries a $6.5 million cap hit. But from the Senators' perspective, when you look at the financial logistics here, this is a very typical Eugene Melnyk, Pierre Dorion type of deal. He comes with a higher cap hit of $6.5 million, but he's actually only owed $2 million in actual salary throughout the season. He was making $5 million total for the year, but $3 million of that was in a signing bonus, which has already been paid by the Coyotes. So, you know what they're like. Obviously, they like to try to find bargain value deals, and from that perspective, you could argue that. So even though you would not really want to pay Stepan $6.5 million for what he brings at this stage of his career, to have Derek Stepan for $2 million is really not all that bad. Now, from the Coyotes' perspective, to get a second-round pick for Stepan at that kind of cap hit is a really solid return, in my opinion. Typically, in this kind of environment and climate right now, with the cap being so tight and the financials being a bit of a wreck here because of COVID, you would have to add a sweetener to this kind of deal to get somebody to take that kind of cap hit off your books. But instead, they don't add anything, and they receive a pretty decent pick as well. I mean, the Senators are a team that are really wanting to get better, obviously. That pick, though, could very well be, a fairly high second-round pick if they don't have a major step forward for the 2021 season, which is, realistically, they could be a lot better this year, but it doesn't mean they're going to be substantially better to really move that pick up, or down, I should say. So, really, that could be a decent pick for a team like Arizona, who is really low on picks after everything that's gone down between the ones they traded away and the ones that they were stripped of by the NHL for that scandal there back earlier this offseason. So, great deal from the Arizona side of things. From the Ottawa side of things, acquiring a guy like Stepan, according to comments from GM Pierre Dorion, he adds a lot of stability to the center ice position going into the season. So I do somewhat agree with that, but my only concern here is the option here of maybe blocking out a younger player from getting more playing time. However, having expanded rosters this year will actually be a big help for a lot of their younger players to be able to remain in the NHL, be at the NHL environment, play and practice a lot, and not necessarily be in the lineup every single day. Obviously, you have some young centermen like a Logan Brown, like a Josh Norris, for example. You still have Colin White, who's on a longer-term contract, but still pretty young, trying to really solidify himself as well. And then, of course, you still have Chris Tierney, who you just signed as well, and now you bring in Derek Stepan. They have some other guys in the lineup, like Anisimov. I'm not sure where Galchenyuk's going to fit, most likely on the wing, probably. I mean, he's been all over the place throughout his career, so I don't know where the Sens see him as being a better fit. So, obviously, having expanded rosters might be the only saving grace here for Ottawa to be able to keep more of their younger players at the NHL level and not have to worry too much about, who's going to be in the lineup, who's going to be on the taxi squad, because obviously those younger players are waivers exempt, which might be the easier way to go about things. But at the end of the day here, they do eat up a lot of their cap space on a veteran guy, but thankfully it's just 1 year. I'm not really sure how I feel about this from a Senators perspective. If they didn't have guys like Anisimov and Tierney in the lineup, then maybe it would be different. But I have to wonder as well if this could spawn another move for the Senators. I mean, they don't really need Stepan and Anisimov, in my opinion. They can both play a similar type of role. You could probably argue that Stepan might be a little bit better defensively, maybe a little bit better on special teams. That's something he's done a lot throughout his career. When he was younger especially, he was more of a threat shorthanded, where now, you can rely on him for faceoffs and blocking shots and playing in the defensive zone and that kind of coverage, not giving you quite as many points as he used to, but certainly somebody that you would see at this stage as being more of a bottom six center iceman. And Anisimov has been kind of that same sort of role. So maybe they'll move out somebody else and create some extra space here so that more of their young players can get some room. Hard to say. I'm not sure what the plan is here, but clearly getting a player, a veteran guy, 30 years old, can still be productive for $2 million. That part itself, not overly bad. There's a good value there for the right price. It's just because of the lineup that I find it somewhat confusing why they would add another veteran when you have all these young guys that you really want to get more of an opportunity to, especially where we're playing in an all-Canadian division. The Sens really seem like they want to make sure they're as competitive as possible. They want to be able to win as many games as possible, but I still think they're going to be in tough, and they're still the odds-on favorites to be in last place in that division. So we'll see how this works out and what other subsequent moves might follow from it. Let me know what your thoughts are on this trade down below in the comments section, and we can discuss further. But I will not be surprised at all if we see another player from the Senators maybe traded out in a separate deal here in the next coming days before training camp gets underway. Now, the other thing we do is Stepan, because he is an American living in the U.S. right now. Not sure if he'll actually be able to participate right away in training camp. Depends on how quickly he can get to Canada, but he will have to quarantine when he arrives and go through some testing before camp. So because of all that and how quickly he can get here, I'm not sure if he'll actually be available on opening day of training camp. Wouldn't be surprising if he was a few days late joining the team because of all the protocols you have to go through. So let me know your thoughts down below and we'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and turning on your notifications so you don't miss any future content, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.